As far as what this is, NA players have been sub 10,000 every time you've checked. Since subs have dropped into randoms, I felt they were way higher before the population. I do applaud Wargaming trying to be more transparent. I think jamming unfinished and unready subs into randoms is insane. I'm going to ask you, Radiant, and I'm going to be honest with you. Have you played subs? Because what do you think about the sub as unfinished and unready? Why is it unfinished and unready? What's the issue? Which is a quarter drop. That's a big deal. Technically be a 20% drop. Would it be? If it was 12k and now it's down to 10k, that's a sixth? It's a sixth of the population? That would be 16% drop, but still. Leon doesn't have good AA, it's just Pataku planes have no... Yeah, okay. Yes, you have. They are very weak instead of a viable class. Well, what do you mean about them as very weak? And then also at the same time, if they're very weak, then what's the problem with putting them into randoms? Because if they're too weak, then theoretically they're not going to do anything bad. They'll just suck. So, okay. You think without them removing team damage, they wouldn't work at all? Why would you say that? Without them removing team damage? What does team damage have to do with the sub? Other than people griefing subs? The homing torpedoes are very OP. I have a video for you. So I don't think the spotting matters so much. The reason why I don't think the spotting matters so much is because effectively it's a destroyer, and destroyers are going to spot anyway. So, okay. You have a little boat that's hard as hell to spot, and it's going to spot you instead. Because if you kept team damage, depth charges would damage friendly subs. Yeah, you'd probably have people griefing subs. That's true. You'd probably have destroyers running around and griefing their teammates. So that is likely a thing. Let me show you something. Let me show you a thing that happened. Because it was actually pretty hilarious. Oh, it's actually right here. Woot. So this was from Reddit. Okay. Can we make this look nicer? Hello? It's not looking very nice. Please, friend. There we go. Please look nicer. Alright, so this was from Reddit. Reddit had a situation where a Hindenburg or whatever got dunked by torpedoes. So we're going to talk about this. Real world example of what the homing thing is. Okay. Hello, this is Sconce. I was asked to check out this. Well, since I'm right here, we don't have to worry about that. But first off, we're just going to watch it and then we'll talk about it. But there's a video about this. So let's just speed this up. So he gets pinged. You can see the little brr, whatever, tells the sub is over there. Hey, look, there's torps. He's got Hydra running, so there's a 4-kilometer detection on torps, so it's got a lot of heads up. Well, he popped his damage con. And then, boop, he's just going to get pinged again. Now this is actually pretty interesting here. We're going to watch these torps slide over, and because he just got double pinged, there's a bunch of citadels and it gets clapped. But realistically, let's look at what actually happened. And talk about, you know, oh my god, homing, it's just crazy. Holy shit, it's terrible. So let's look at it, you know. Okay, take this down to normal speed. So first off, he gets pinged. The ping literally tells him where the damage is coming from. What is this similar to? If the Yoshino shoots from 20 kilometers away, we can see the shells. So if I zoom in, I can see the shells and roughly read they're going to land about here. Oh, no, if we accelerate, they'll juke, they'll land about here. I have all the information that I could need. Although not to say that it's perfect information, because it's hard to read. But I have all the information that I could, you know, reasonably expect to keep myself safe. Because I see the shells coming in, and I can try to plan how I want to move accordingly. So that's cool. In this case, we have a ping. We know the sub is over there. Nice. Cool. Ping. We even know where the ping is, so it's up here. And one thing that's really worth knowing is that with homing torpedoes, the torpedoes do not home on the spot that is pinged. The torpedoes will go dead. They'll go they'll lose homing. So they're actually aiming at the point that they have to aim at when they stop homing, so that they can dumbfire in to strike. So if this guy's moving full speed this way, the torps aren't aiming here. They're aiming here. And that interaction point is very important. So anyway, he gets pinged. Okay, there's some panic. Oh shit, I got pinged by a sub. He's got his Hydra running. He sees torps at 4 kilometers away, which is ages away. Ages away. And the first thing he does, pops damage con. He didn't need to. Now, if this was like a 40-second damage con, like he was on a Montana or something, 20-second, 25, whatever. If it was like a 20-second damage con, it'd be a different story. But it's not. It's a 5. It's a standard damage con in a cruiser. All right? He knows the sub is over here. So, a few options at this point. Let's go back to looking at the torps. He pops his damage con, he sees the torps. They're coming in. I guess he can't even see what the line is, really. Now he can. So the line looks like it's going to be here. So he's going to turn, which is perfectly fine. He's going to turn, he's going to show a slim profile to the sub, and get away from the line of the torpedoes. Sure. At this point, realistically, he shouldn't have damage conned, but he did. So he's going to be able to pull off the line of the torps. And the thinner he is, the harder he is for the DD to hit. However, the DD could still hit and like nip the rear of the ship. But it's actually going to be a little worse than that. He keeps turning, which means he's showing more side. The sub is going to ping up here, and it's going to strike there. Now remember what I talked about earlier. That the torps aren't aiming for this. They're aiming for the interaction point. Which means that there's a dead zone on the torpedoes of, I think it's 720 meters if it's a single ping. It's 360 meters if it's a dual ping. So they get pretty damn close. But that's, if I understand this correctly, that's from the interaction point, which is, in this case, charted probably to be about here. So 360 meters from here might actually be this far away, which means they're actually guiding all the way into the hull because of where the interaction point is, which is just, I mean, I guess technically the closer they get, you might assume the interaction point gets closer, but I don't know if it does. It might actually just be a static lead thing, so I don't know, I guess that's worth thought. But anyway, so he gets pinged, he starts to turn. One thing that's worth noting, we go back a bit. Damn it, stop looking around. Right. So these are going to start to home. They're going to start to turn in. But torps only turn so fast. So he's going to take a shot or something. We're going to come back and we're going to look and we'll have a better idea of where the subs are, or where the torps are doing what they're doing. Right here, you can see this is how hard they're turning. So if we extrapolate out, they can't hit him. Not possible. Cannot occur. Cannot make this turn. He just slams on the brakes. He just full stops, and they coast by. They can't turn. Done. His damage con's down. Sub can keep pinging him. Doesn't mean anything. Torps just go away. And then the sub has to reload for whatever the hell the sub is. I don't know if it's a Balau or whatever it is, but all he had to do is just slow down at this point. The torps have been juked. So he damage conned over there. He got away from the torps before a new ping came in. He's able to use that distance to make it so they can't come back in and strike him. But he didn't. He kept going full speed, which gave the torps more time to be able to turn. And then the double ping comes in, which means that the torps are going to retain homing if the interaction point is out here, even though these torps are extremely close to this. If the interaction point is out here, and there's a 360 meter line until the homing stops, then these are going to home all the way into the hull. So by running away, you're actually helping the torpedoes catch the hull. So if he had slowed down, not only would they have overshot him, but if he had slowed down, the interaction point starts to go back in. Because theoretically, if he's not moving at all, the interaction point is exactly where the ping is. If he reverses, the interaction point gets pushed back. So if, for instance, he had stopped here, there's no way they can catch the interaction. They just keep going and they dead out. If he reverses somehow, if he got ahead of the torps enough to reverse, he could put the interaction point where they would simply go that way. And he could just slow down and go forward, and they would just fall right by. Can you charge the torpedo? Charge the torpedo. So if you're in a ship and there's some torpedoes over on this side, and you charge them and you're pinged, the interaction point is going to be ahead of you, and they're going to dead out a distance from the interaction point. So you can actually increase the dead zone by going toward the torpedoes, which means if you simply turn out a little bit to the left, interaction point's over here, the torpedoes are going to veer off to the left, or what, your left, and then you basically wait until they dead out, and then you just turn back in. So you just do this, and you juke the torps, and they slide off to the side. They can't hit you. When you know how the homing mechanics work, they're not nearly as scary. But you also have to understand that the average player is going to be, if we look, let's actually try and look real quick. Google? I don't know. RAR? What is this? World of Warships PR? This. Let's look at Shimakaze. Shimakaze is a cool torp boat, right? We're going to look at a Shimakaze. We're going to find somebody who's really good in the Shimakaze. Wombat. Combat Wombat. There we go. Cool. Let's look at Combat Wombat. Nope. Marked his shit as private. How about Zampy? There we go. Zampy is cool. So, number 2... for Shimakaze, we're going to expect he probably, he knows how to use torpedoes. His torpedo hit rate for the second best DD player in North America is a little under 10%. Which means that if we were going to have subs, they would have to throw 100 torpedoes to catch 10 if they were the second best player on North America in this case. Which means you would have to be in a sub throwing 8 torpedoes every minute to try even to land 5 to 7. To land approximately 45,000 damage, maybe up to 90. When you could just, and that's at tier 10. Whereas you could drop into a Hindenburg and just shoot people with guns that are really accurate and do 150 to 250,000 damage. Like, if you got rid of the homing mechanic and you just dumbfire the torps, you have to throw so many torps because you don't have guns. Like a Shimakaze probably doesn't going to use guns very much, but has guns. The guns work. So you have to factor that into the damage amount, and since the subs have none, they really do kind of need homing to assist them in trying to set up plays. But if you know how the homing works, you can mitigate the damage quite significantly, which is worth knowing. I think it's interesting. I hear what you're saying, I do, but they're an invisible class. We have no significant understanding of counterplay because we're all figuring out live, and we have a lot of noobs and subs trying them out. A lot of noobs in subs trying them out, which effectively loses your team a ship. Well, the good news is the enemy team has the same issue, so there's that. But homed torps with a double ping sit hard? Sure. So, what's something else that could have happened here? Not only were there 2 reasons why this person should never have been hit in the first place, but what happens if he turns and then he damage cons right before the torps hit him? The torps don't do 10,000 citadel damage per torp or whatever the fuck they do. They do like 6, they do like 5. So as a Hindi, he gets hit by 4 torps that does approximately 20,000 damage. He jukes the other 2 and then he just heals. Because he's in a Hindenburg. Like, it's a totally different situation. Because by blowing the damage con, he didn't have any buffer against this. which is unfortunate because he's really not under any shell pressure at all. There's nobody taking shots at him. There's no shells coming in. He's free to do whatever the hell he wants to do in response to this threat. And instead, it's just he gave up the ability to mitigate it. It's gone now. In 1911. They've changed team damage, introducing homing torps and spotting is a big issue, all to make subs viable at all. Combine that with fast ping refresh and no change to damage con. See, I don't really think damage con needs to be changed. I am of the mind that the damage con is fine. It's a point of weakness. It's supposed to be a point of weakness. And as long as you understand how the homing mechanic works, you don't have to blow a damage con every time you get pinged. So theoretically, you could juke torps without damage conning, which saves your damage con for the next stuff. Ideally, the sub is going to put you in a situation where you want to damage con because the enemy wants you dead, but that's not to say that they can or that they will. The spotting, I'm sorry, but spotting happens anyway. Spotting happens with DDs. You know, people argue till they're blue in the face that no, DDs are fine. DDs are fine. DDs have their place in the game. DDs are fine. But they spot you just the same. Like, if you're in a battleship, what do you do against the DD? You get lit, and you dodge, and you dance around torpedoes. Or, even better, a DD just shoots you with guns in the plain fucking open and dodges your shells, which I've done. Although realistically, that's because the battleship player wasn't staggering their gunfire. They should shoot one gun, see what the enemy person's doing to juke, shoot another gun, see what the person's doing to juke, shoot another gun, so that they can at least get a few hits every shot. But I mean, depending on how far out you are, if you're 15 or 14 kilometers away, you may have no reasonable expectation of actually hitting the DD. Well, he just farms you down, and you're just like, this is great. Until you've encountered a sub div, then you just die. Yeah, but why couldn't you just encounter a DD div that does the same thing? Actually, I can recommend this. COTS is coming up this weekend, and there was a group called Star. They had some of the most amazing cross torps that I have ever seen in this game, ever, bar none. And it happened match after match after match. Like, they were literally like, they had 20-kilometer Shima torps that were crossing with like torps coming from a different section of the map. They had it completely timed out when somebody would be in an area to cap, and you'd see a destroyer just be like, fuck! Was amazing. So if you have a chance to see Star in COTS, absolutely take advantage of it. Because if they've got their destroyers running, oh dude, me and Boxy were just going nuts for them. Like the Star destroyers were amazing. Are they largely unwanted though? It's easy to get the impression reading Reddit forums, etc., but the loudest voices aren't always the majority. So something to know. I got to learn this. There was, I think Evan was in our chat channel one day, and he mentioned that the average amount of players on the North American forums, which is, you know, I go to the North American forums, is 1.7% of the player base. Of that, 30 to 40% of the people on the forum really dislike this, or really dislike that, or really love this, or really love that. So if 30% of 1.7%, that means that you have 0.5% of the player base that really dislike X or Y or something else. So here's the thing that's worth knowing. Wargaming has access to polling data. They have community data where they look and they interact with people. They have data where people send them messages. Hey, I'd really love to see this ship. They have conversations out in the field when they meet with people. They have all this information. And ask yourself, realistically, I mean, really honestly, these are people that are employed, that are being paid so that they can pay their rent, so that they can get food, so that if they have kids, they can save for college, so that they can buy shit. Does it make any sense at all? Any sense for people that all they ever hear is, nope, nope, we don't want it, to just be like, but you do? Or would it make more sense that they have a lot of information that people are really looking for this? Now, they did state, actually, in a Submarine dev blog that they put out, I think they put a second one out, that they're expecting, their target goal is 8% of the audience. Well, why in the hell would you care about 8% of your target audience if you're just going to upset the apple cart and piss everybody off? Why are you making something that's going to appeal to so few players? What the hell is the point? Well, I'll tell you my story. I played this game back when it was in beta, or it was early or something, because I played EVE Online, and I was part of the Imperium, which were not very nice people, but great organization to be a part of. Very organized. Anyway, some game companies would bribe the Imperium, I'm pretty sure, with a few tens and tens of dollars to pimp their game a little. So they did that. They put out some pings. They said, hey, World of Warships is a thing. You should try it out. Oh, yeah, rawr. So I downloaded it. I tried it. I sailed around in a ship. I shot some shells at some other ships. I thought it was peaceful. But I had no personal attachment. I didn't feel the thrill of the high seas. It didn't latch me. I played for like 40 minutes and I uninstalled the game. Which actually is not unsurprising, because in free-to-play games, there's literally there's a game that has an achievement for players that have played for 2 hours. That's all they had to do. They just had to play for 2 hours, nothing else, so that you can see that there's only 40% of the people that even try the game stay for longer than 2 hours. And it lost me. It didn't connect with me. I ended up downloading the game again later. I tried it again. There were battleships. I took out a battleship, and a little destroyer ran around me in a circle and torped me and killed me. So, woo! Yay, battleship strong. I tried being in a DD. I got spotted and killed because I didn't know how to play. So I was going to throw it out, but there was a carrier, so whatever. I got to the carrier, and it was interesting, but I'm not a multitasker. But I don't know, it was interesting. So I dicked around with it some, and then they altered carriers, they nerfed or something, and so whatever. I got rid of the game. My friend told me about the rework when it came out, because he was really excited. He loves planes, loves aviation, loves that stuff. And I downloaded the game again. And there was something about it, man. I did not give a shit about sailing a destroyer. I did not give a shit about playing in a cruiser. I did not give a shit about being in a battleship. But there was something interesting about playing carrier that just got under my skin. And I played that day, and I played the next 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 day. I got from tier 4 through co-op. I got up to tier 6. I played co-op for like 3 days straight. I got up to tier 8. I got halfway through the tier 8 grind just playing co-op. And before I decided to go into random battles, because I wanted to make sure that if I'm going to do something, I have a clue how to do it. And even then, there's still a bunch of shit you don't know. I'm still learning about the game, and it's 2.5 years in. But the carrier interaction got me to play this game, which got me to play surface ships because there were events that, there was the thing that the Benham was in, some torpedo last man player standing thing, Rogue Wave, the Rogue Wave thing. So I played Rogue Wave. And, okay, so I learned kind of how to DD in a Rogue Wave thing, because they turn and they torp and stuff. So I had some interactions there. That was a big grind, so I played that a lot. Sure, I kind of got the hang of it. The thing is, everybody needs an entry point. Everybody needs something that they're going to bite on. It could be that you love the history. It could be that you love the aesthetic. It could be that you like the peaceful part of the game. It could be that there's some gameplay mechanic that just strikes you. And it's annoying, I'm going to be honest, it's annoying to read on the forum how it's like, CV players just like fucking people over. No, I don't play this game to make other people angry and to fuck with people. That's one of the reasons why I don't play EVE anymore, because a lot of EVE Online is fucking with people, and I have no interest in that. I like helping. So I like helping my team. And the CV gives me the ability to do that in a really responsive way, other than like trying to be a sneaky destroyer, not being spotted, giving information and shit. Like there's a very direct result between me going out to try to do something, to give information, and to help somebody, and that worked for me. So subs are going to come out. They're going to have like 8% of the player base. But 15% worth of the player base will try a sub because it's there. Something about it might bite them. Some of them it won't take, some of them it will. Those that take will start to play other ships, will start to experience the game. Some will join competitive clans, some will play the game long term. It's not about selling billions of dollars in subs. It's about giving somebody that slightly different thing, that slightly different way in, that they can go, oh, I see it now. I understand this. And it's like, when you look at what subs are, you can go, oh, the homing, it's broken. But I'm going to be honest with you. I can get into Venezia, and I can bingo a ship from 20 kilometers away, and I'm not even that good. So who cares if there's a homing mechanic? Things with guns can shoot you, and you get hit. You take damage. Well, what could I have done? You got hurt. Well, I could have dodged. I could have angled. Well, you would have taken less damage, but you would have taken damage. So, it's tough. I can understand how people can be upset. They don't want to take damage. They don't want to be put in situations that are rough. I get all that, sure. But at the same time, like, I have to come back to this, and I say it so many damn times. The enemy team is not there to heal you. They're not there to give you the happiest, most fantastic time that you've ever had, where you get to run around dunking all of them and their teammates so that you can feel like you're the most amazing person. They are there to kill you. They are there to make you dead. They are there to kill you and your friends until they win the game. So it's like, you have to understand that the enemy team is not designed to miss you. They're not designed to provide you an experience where you get to overcome them and win every time so you feel like a god. They have the tools to make you dead. And if you give them an opportunity to do it, they will do it. And if you give them the opportunity and they fuck it up, that's their fault. That's not the fault of their tool set. That's their fault. You can't with homing torps, but you can. Did you see what I just displayed, Kiru? Kiru? Because I just explained how you can outplay homing torps. Did you miss that explanation? If you did, I have a video for you. But I can also explain the mechanics of it as well. See you, Radiant? You get spotting, the whole game is spotting, it is everything in the game? I do hear what you're saying. People are figuring out counterplay, but you have to admit they're changing huge parts of the game to shoehorn in a largely unwanted new class. See, the big thing is, like, honestly, what is a submarine? It's a DD with personal stealth tools as opposed to just a generic smoke. Okay. But it's still a DD. It's gonna run around doing destroyer shit. It's gonna light stuff when it's not lit. Like, it's not that weird, man. I've seen shimikazes that just do secret agent bullshit. I've seen shimikazes where they'll torp and they'll never use their guns. I've seen Asachios do the same thing. They're effectively submarines that just float on the surface all the time. Subs have an added layer of movement and maneuvering underwater, which is a varying amount of personal cloak or personal detection. But at the same time, you still have the ability to juke homing torps, so even with the homing ability, they may not land any damage. Hopefully they do. I mean, you would assume that somebody who's going to go in and try to be able to do something is actually going to be, at least have a chance to be successful at it. But I am serious, Kiru. Did you see the... do you want me to explain to you how you can juke homing torps? Actually, there's another video I have, which I will link as well. Avoiding torpedoes, avoiding sub-torpedoes. This is a lesson. It's a really sneaky destroyer with terrible guns and a torpedo gimmick. Pretty much. Think of subs like that and they're a lot less scary. That's literally what they are. They're a sub with no gun, or they're a DD with no guns. Yeah, they have a deck gun. They're a DD with no guns. And the DD cannot provide smoke for the teammates. It's a personal smoke and that's it. So they're greedy in that sense. They have a personal detection reduction, but a Benson can smoke a whole line of cruisers so that you can't see them and they can shoot you while you can't really shoot back. Well, you can blind fire, but realistically, most people aren't going to blind fire well, so they're going to shoot you and you're not going to be able to shoot back. Any DD could with a smoke could do that to varying levels. A Lightning could do it, you know, a British DD could do it, but it's not going to be a long thing, so it doesn't matter that much. But specifically, like, there's less team utility, there's more personal capability, I guess, but at the same time, the torpedoes are pretty weak. So, no matter what Wargaming does, not everyone's going to be happy. That is the truth. That is correct. Well, I think I've talked a lot. And we drove off Radiant. So he might... I hope I didn't make him mad.